My low back has been bothering me a bit the past few days, so we're going to work on some twists and some inversions today. So that's the general plan. All right, so take your right hand on the inside of the right knee and pull your leg in to Swastikasana. Turn the sole of the foot up toward the ceiling. And then bring your left leg in front. And then turn both feet as much as you can, the soles up toward the ceiling. Move your calf flesh up toward the ceiling and squeeze each of your thighs and externally rotate the thighs. As you do that, the lots of reasons to do that, but one of the ones I'm really liking lately is how much it draws the sitting bones in toward the midline. And that external rotation also releases the groin, but I was noticing just as I was doing that myself, I wasn't getting the usual groin release that I get. And so you may have seen, I gave myself another blanket. So just taking the time to get another blanket sometimes, just in doing that, now I can feel that beginning sense of groin release. Also, while I'm on the subject of props, sort of, you may have seen, if you follow me on Facebook, or I don't think I put it in my weekly email, but Castle Hill is selling their props. And they're really quite affordable. So it's really a great time to get a couple chairs, to get, 4 blankets. It's really great to have 4 blankets for things. I don't know if I think might be selling their straps. They're also selling their bolsters. And so, they're really good prices for high quality stuff. And so if you haven't yet acquired that kind of set of props to have in your house, you can go to their webpage. It's only in Austin and you have to go out to the 360 location to pick it up. But it really is a really great opportunity for those of you who haven't made the commitment to props yet. You could get really pretty well stocked for well under $100.
Does that mean that they're going to close down doing yoga there?
I don't think so. It's just they're getting rid of the quote unquote soft props. So I think that they will start offering classes on site there. They've already started some outdoor classes there. But I do think even as they go forward having smaller classes, it's going to be not using the cloth kinds of props. And so they aren't selling blocks, for instance. I think blocks I guess people feel like is easy enough to sanitize. Their blocks are foam, so I don't know. So no, I don't think it's that they're going to stop teaching. I mean, I think they're really trying, like everyone, to weather out, everything that's happening. But, they are just thinking about, well, when we go back, what we'll need and not need, right? So I just encourage you to get them because they really do enhance all kinds of things about your practice. And this is a great time to take advantage of a good sale. A lot of studios actually that I am aware of around and about are kind of doing that, also gives them a little influx of cash too. So anyway, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there, but all that came from the fact that I was willing to get a single blanket, and I got, just for the effort of having a whole pile of blankets over here, it was really easy for me to get one more, and in getting one more, I got more release in my groin. And there's some things it's good to have wood blocks for. There's some things it's good to have foam blocks for, and why not? Since we're here, in our houses together doing yoga, may as well have your props along with you, right? But, one of the other things that BKS Iyengar also says is that the body is the first prop. So we don't need all the fancy props, but they're great to have. So thinking about the body as the first prop, press the tops of the feet down into the floor and energetically lift your ankles up, okay? So you've used your feet as a prop to get more lift in the chest. Draw up from the outer knee into the outer hip and release your groin some more. Lengthen up through the side ribs and roll your shoulder bones back. Bring your shoulder blades closer together on your back, away from the neck and into the center of the body and up a little bit so you feel that chest get well lifted and broad. Then fold your palms together at your heart. Again, the body is the first prop. Okay? So you can use your thumbs to lift the sternum up. And as you lift that sternum up, it's really like a prop for the sternum. You'll also feel that your trapezius releases away from the neck. Even your forearms can help lift the whole rib cage up, and that gives you a deeper sense of broadness across the collarbones. So the body is the first prop. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take your awareness in. Use the prop of the breath to draw your awareness even more deeply in. Particularly follow the exhalation. Like it's a thread or a pathway that you can follow from the outer world, from everything that's going on in the external circumstance of your life, to the inner world, that inner landscape of you, the domain of yoga. Use your exhalations to take your awareness there. The body, the breath, are props. Find that still space within. And from that space, let's chant 3 Ams together. Follow that sound with your mind. Follow the reverberation of the sound with your mind. And from that space, inhale. Keep your chest well lifted and broad. The body is the first prop. Bring your chin down to your chest and your hands down to your thighs with your palms up. And then raise your head and open your eyes. Another prop is eyeglasses, so I can see better. Okay. All right, go ahead and keep yourself in Swastikasana. Okay? And we're gonna do twisting Swastikasana. I'm sitting up on blankets, and so I hold with the hand behind me. Okay, I'm holding onto the blanket, and then I'm putting my other hand on my right leg. Okay? Then what's interesting is with the blanket, I'm actually pushing the blanket toward that wall. And it's actually a little bit, I feel it more as a pull. And then I push my hand into the thigh that way. And so you're basically creating resistance with your hands. The back hand that's on the blanket is pulling, and you'll feel that your right side of your body, or whatever side that you're turning toward, begins to turn. Then with your hand on your thigh and you push, that brings the left side of your body around. So each hand is kind of responsible for turning one side of the body. Then press your feet down into the floor and energetically lift your ankles up. Make yourself as tall as you can, and then as you exhale, pull and push with your hands and bring yourself around. Just let your head kind of naturally be in line with the middle of the body. You don't have to restrain it from turning, but don't turn it too quickly. Really feel that you can get yourself really turned. Then when you feel pretty turned, like your torso is at least moving toward that side of the room, then go ahead and turn your head. And then see if you can turn just a little bit more. And so there's a kind of timing involved with turning the body and then turning the head. All right, now as you come back to the center, push down on the blanket with your hand and down on your thigh with your other hand. So you come back to the center and make yourself taller. All right, then let's do the other side. So one hand's on the thigh. I'm going to call that just your front hand. And then the hand that's back behind you, I'm calling that your back hand. That holds on to the blanket. Okay. Well, the hand behind actually does 2 things. It can actually push down to give you height first. But once you get that height, push with your front hand and pull with your back hand, and your hands will bring your body around. All right, then inhale, lift up, make yourself taller. Push down with your hand and lengthen up even more. And then as you exhale, push and pull with your hands to turn yourself more. So again, the body, your hands, are the first prop. Inhale, lift up, make yourself taller. And then exhale, push and pull with your hands and turn and rotate. When you feel you've got a decent amount of rotation over to the next side, go ahead and let your head turn. Then when your head is turned, push and pull with your hands and get a little bit more turn. Right now, when you come back to the center, don't sink. In fact, make yourself even taller as you come all the way back up to the center. Okay. Swastikasana. Again, Swastikasana, the name just refers to the cross that the leg is in. Okay. Then stretch your legs out into Dandasana, staff pose. Spread across your toes. Engage your quadriceps well. Lengthen up through your side ribs and roll the shoulder bones back. Bring the shoulder blades in, away from the neck, and into the center of the body and up a little bit so you feel your chest get lifted. And that shoulder blade action is the body being a prop. The back body is propping up or helping the front body lift. All right. Let's bring the opposite leg in for Swastikasana. So whichever leg you didn't bring in, do the other one. Hello, Karen and Radhika, and I think that's Ashwini's little avatar there. So welcome, everyone. I thought I saw Jonathan pop on there for a little while, but he didn't. All right, so use your hands, again, like a prop, to turn the body to get more external rotation, to get more release in the groin. Press your feet down, lift your ankles up, and you'll feel that lift come all the way up into the chest. Okay. As much as you can, keep the height as you begin to turn. Okay. Then push with your hand that's on the thigh, pull with your hand that's on the blanket, and those actions of the arms will bring your rib cage around more. Now coordinate the work of your body with the work of the breath. As you inhale, push your feet down and energetically lift all the way up, well, not just energetically, but lift all the way up from the tailbone through the head. Keep that height, and then as you exhale, push and pull with your arms, and you'll feel your body begin to turn more. Lift up one more time with the inhalation, and as you exhale, push and pull with your hands to turn yourself around more. And then turn your head and see if you can get a little bit more turn. And while you're here, just observe where this particular twist, where do you feel it in your back? I feel it mostly right in my middle rib cage. It's a good place for me to start turning. And then come back to the center, and then let's do the other side. Bring your hands to the other side. Press down with your feet and energetically lift your ankles up. Continue that lift all the way up from the tailbone through the head. Keep that height that you've created through your body and your breath as you turn. Then keep on coordinating. Press down with your feet and lift up and make yourself tall on the inhalation. And then as you exhale, push and pull with your hands to get yourself to turn around more. Push down with your feet and lift your ankles up and lift all the way up through the head. And exhale, push and pull with your arms to rotate more. Then turn your head. Then see if you can get just a little bit more rotation by pushing and pulling one more time. Then push down with your hands as you come all the way up so you get even more height after that twisting. Right. Then stretch your legs out into Dandasana, staff pose. Engage your legs, push your toes together, spread the balls of the feet, little toe side of the foot into the outer hips. Lengthen up through your side ribs, roll your shoulder bones back, shoulder blades in, away from the neck, and into the center of the body and up a little bit so you feel that lift coming up into your chest. And remember, Dandasana, Danda is a staff. Parshva just means to the side. So now we're going to do a pose called Parshva Dandasana, where we're twisting in Dandasana. And as you twist in Dandasana, observe where you feel the twist in your back in Dandasana compared to Swastikasana, okay? All right, so bring your hand to the outside of your knee, okay, with your palm down and your other hand back behind you on the blanket again. All right, extend out from the inner knee through the inner heel, push down with your hand and lift up, and then as you exhale, push and pull with your arms to turn yourself around. So I personally feel this one a little bit more on the right side of my body, and maybe a little bit out, okay, more on the outer shoulder blades. You might feel it similarly, you might not. Then notice what happens when you bring your hand up to the middle of the thigh and push and pull. Yeah. Then when I've moved my hand, now I feel a little bit more in my left side of my body. Yeah. And just see what happens when you move your hand up toward your hip and turn a little bit more. Then I feel that twist a little bit more closer to the spine. And push and pull with your hands as you come back to the center. And let's do the other side. Check back in and make sure your legs are still doing all the actions that you know how to do them with. Start off with your hand on the outside of the knee. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall. And as you exhale, push and pull with your hands and turn. And I feel this one now mostly on the left side of my body. And when I move the hand, I feel it a little bit more on the right side of the body. And when I move the hand again, I feel it more in the central channel of my body. And push and pull with your hands and lift up again and come all the way back to the center. All right, then we're gonna sit in a pose called Virasana. Well, actually, as you're transitioning to Virasana, go ahead and stretch your legs out and do a downward facing dog. Okay. Put your hands down and forward, stretch your legs out. Artamazi. Adho means down, Mukha means face, Shwana is a dog. So we'll kind of intersperse the downward facing dogs, and you'll probably notice after each subsequent twist that there is a little bit more extension in your dog. And I'm just turning around so you can see my feet. But in Virasana, let me know if you can't. All right, in Virasana, your feet go straight back. Okay? And ideally, you scoot your feet out outside of your hips. Not always, but it's what you want to try and do, because eventually your buttocks are going to sit down between your feet. Okay. Virasana means a hero's pose. But this morning, yesterday morning, my knee wasn't bugging me in this pose. This morning it is. So I'm going to take my blanket, my prop, and pull it back behind my knees. I just gave myself a little bit of space behind my knees. It also gave me a little bit more height, which actually in and of itself, I'm noticing is feeling good on my back. Okay. So now we're just sitting here, not just, but we're sitting here in Virasana. Now the actions of the feet are rather similar. Okay. Extend from the inner knee through the big toe side of the foot. Move your outer ankle toward your inner ankle. Suck your outer calves in. Move your hips in, and you'll feel more lift come all the way up into the chest. Okay, so Virasana, usually it's translated as hero's pose. I think Vira actually means something like courage or strength or something like that. And then Parshva just means a twist or to the side. So Parshva Virasana, you're moving to the side. Okay. All right, so push down with your hand on the, I have a brick behind me. Push down with your hand on the floor and get even more height. And it's the same kind of thing. Push and pull with your hands to turn and rotate. And as you rotate, notice where you feel this twist in your spine. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall. Exhale, push and pull with your hands and turn and rotate. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall. Keep your leg actions going as much as you can. And then turn and rotate. Then turn your head, and then see if you can just get a little bit more turn by pushing and pulling with your hands. Then push down with your hands and lift up through the head as you come back to the center so you get more height after turning, and then do the same thing on the other side. Press down with your hand and back to get length in the stuff from the tailbone through the head, and then push and pull with your hands as you rotate yourself around. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall. And as you exhale, push and pull with your hands to rotate yourself around. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall from the tailbone all the way up through the head. Exhale, push and pull with your hands to rotate yourself around. Then push down with your hands and come all the way back up to the center. Then come forward onto your hands and your knees. Place your hands on the floor. Turn your toes under and do a downward facing dog after having done Parshva Virasana. So I'm noticing in the second downward facing dog that my thoracic spine is going in a bit more. I'm also noticing that my hamstrings are kind of tight today. So I'm gonna lift up onto the toes, lift the quadriceps and the inner thighs, roll over the balls of the feet, and see if I can get just a little bit more length for myself by really extending through the heels. All right. Then I'm still sitting on a brick, okay? And I'm back into Dandasana. So now we're going to do a pose that's called Bharadvajasana 1. Okay. Bharadvajasana is named after an Indian sage. And it's a seated twist, and your feet, actually your bottom foot, okay, you're gonna put on the side of the brick, and it's in Swastikasana. So take just a moment and turn the sole of the foot up toward the ceiling. Then your top foot, you're gonna fold back into Virasana. So you've got a Virasana foot, a hero's foot on top of your Bharadvajasana, of your Swastikasana foot. Okay? And that turns things into Bharadvajasana 1. I have the block right now. I'm sitting on it with both sitting bones.
I'm sitting on the block.
So that my sitting bones are even. But I'm feeling that my Virasana leg isn't fully grounded. Right? So I'm going to actually externally rotate that Virasana leg a little bit so that the sitting bone draws in a little bit more. And that felt so good. I'm also going to do it on the Swastikasana leg. Okay? So that my sitting bones are drawing in toward the midline, and that helps me get length in the sides of the torso from the very beginning. Okay? All right, then same thing with the hands. You've got your hand on a brick behind you, and then we're gonna do this one twice, all right? Actually, we're gonna do it 3 times, and we're gonna be all on the same side. Okay, so first, just push and pull with your hands to get yourself to rotate. And you'll feel the twist yet again in a slightly different place on your back. I feel it a little bit lower on my shoulder blades. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall, and then push and pull with your hands and turn and rotate around. One more time, let your head turn, and then push and pull again and see if you can get turned a little bit more. Then come back to the center. Second time around, take your hand and turn the palm up toward the ceiling. And then just notice when you push and pull with your hands with your palm up, it has a different effect on the back of the body. I feel it more on that outer shoulder blade when I'm turning.
Go the other way. Same way. Go the other way.
And then come back to the center. Then take your brick and just move it over so you're only sitting on it with your right sitting bone. And that gives you the opportunity to get your left buttock or your left groin to release down a little bit more. It actually has space to move. Then you can choose which hand position you want and then turn one more time. So what I notice when I have more room to descend this outer hip, I begin to feel it much more across the sacrum, much more across the lower back. So that particular way of twisting really speaks to my lower back, which has some tightness. I don't actually personally like to start with the lower back as much, but some people do. I like to start with the twists that talk to my middle back because that's very, very tight. And then once I release my middle back tension, then I can kind of really work more on the lower back. It's not a hard and fast rule or anything. It's just something I've noticed in my own practice. All right, stretch your legs out into Dandasana again, staff pose. Then we're gonna go through the same thing on the second side with Bharadvajasana. So you're gonna bring your left leg into Swastikasana foot, and your right leg will go on top of the arch of your left leg into Bharadvajasana. So you got a Swastikasana foot on the bottom, means the cross. You've got a Virasana foot on top, and then that turns into Bharadvajasana 1. And put your hand behind you on the block and lift up, make yourself tall first. Palm down first, push and pull with your hands to turn and rotate. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall. Exhale, push and pull with your hands and turn and rotate a little bit more. And then one more time, turn. Push down with your hands and come back to the center. Now do it with your palm up. Push and pull with your hands again. But notice how just switching, I find this it's really pretty fascinating to me. Just a small thing like that, how you use your body as a prop changes the experience of the twist. Then move, third time around, move your brick so that you have more room to descend this right hip down toward the, or not hip, but groin and sitting bone down toward the floor. Choose which arm position you want. And then when you turn, Having that hip descend really makes me feel the twist much, much more in my lower back. All right. And then come back to the center. Stretch your legs back out to Dandasana, staff pose. All right, two more, actually we're gonna do 3 more twists. Oh, I forgot to do, let's do downward facing dog. Okay. So stretch your legs out, put your hands on the floor, turn your toes under, and push back into downward facing dog. And just observe, how did Parshva 1, 3 times around with that, influence your downward facing dog? And what I'm noticing is I have a little bit more opening in my armpits, a little bit more release in the thoracic spine, and my lower back does feel broader. And as a result, I'm actually feeling my abdomen draw a little bit more into my spine. And then come down. All right, stretch your legs out straight, back into Dandasana, staff pose. Now, bring your left leg up into the position that this is another seated twist, and it's called Marichyasana 1. Marichi was another Indian sage. You can look up and read stories about them. So the bottom leg is doing Dandasana. Now this is new. This is a Marichyasana leg. You can change the foot position in a variety of ways, but right now the foot is just going straight ahead. Okay? And I have to extend from the inner knee through the inner heel so that that foot really presses down. Put your hand back behind you. Reach up with your right hand to get yourself lots of nice length in the sides of the torso. And sorry, I said right, I meant left. Reach up and then bring your elbow to the inside of the knee. Now your elbow and your knee have to push against each other. Okay, so it's a little different way of using the hands as you turn and rotate. So your elbow pushes back, but your knee pushes forward, and then you push that brick toward the wall that you're twisting to. And I feel this one much more in the upper back, the part of my body that it gets really tired when I'm driving or looking on the computer, things like that. So this is one of my favorites. Marichyasana 1. There are actually 4 poses named after Marichi. All right, then come back to the center. Stretch your leg back into Dandasana. Bring the other leg up. Dandasana leg, Marichyasana leg. Put your hand back behind you and lift up with your hand. Extend out and then bring up, not out. Extend up with your arms so you're getting lots of length in the side of the torso, and then bring your elbow to the inside of the knee. Push your knee and your elbow against each other and rotate around. Push the brick toward the wall that you're turning toward. Inhale, lift up, make yourself tall. Push and pull with your hands and rotate around. One more time, lengthen up, and then exhale, turn and rotate around. And then come all the way back to the center. Stretch your legs out again into Dandasana. Bring your leg back up into the Marichyasana stage. Okay. So all of the poses we've done thus far are what are called open twists, okay? Because you're twisting in such a way that you're not really compressing the center of the body. Okay. So all of those are fine if you're pregnant or on your period or anything. This next one is what's called in Iyengar yoga a closed twist, because you're twisting across your body, and that creates a different way of twisting. But if you were, I mean, obviously you wouldn't do it if you're pregnant, but you also aren't supposed to do it if you're on your cycle, because it creates a little bit too much tension in the abdominal region. Okay. So if either of those things apply to you, then you would just repeat Marichyasana 1. Okay. So Marichyasana 3. Okay. So you're turning toward that side, and see how I'm holding on to the knee. I'm just turning a little bit first. Also, because this is a closed twist, sometimes I feel kind of compressed here. So I'm leaning back and moving my abdomen with my hand from right to left, and then sitting back up and turning. First, I'm just holding with my hand. Then I try and hook my elbow over my knee and get a little bit more turn. And again, notice where you feel that twist in your back. Put your elbow and your knee against each other and turn more. And then push and pull with your hands as you come all the way back up. Stretch your leg back out of Dandasana. Bring the opposite leg up. Right, lean back a little bit so you can move your abdomen from left to right. And sit back up. Hold on to your knee with your hand and turn and rotate first. Then hook your elbow on the outside of the knee. Then see if you can get a little more on your upper arm. I can't right now, but some of you will be able to. Eventually, you actually want to get this outer upper arm on the outside of the thigh. Oh, God. I would have to do that about 50 times, though, for that to happen. Oh, and turn and rotate. But just that little effort of trying to get deeper actually did give me a better twist in my back. Okay. And then come back to the center. And then guess what's next? Downward facing dog. Spread your palms, turn your triceps, turn your toes under, and push back into Anamikashwanasana. And again, observe what the Marichyasana work did for your downward facing dog. For me, the collective effect is I'm now beginning to get more weight into my legs, which is nice. All right, then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones and stand up. There's one more seated twist that we could do, which I just forgot. It's called Artamazi Andrasima. We will do the form of it where we're sitting on the brick, okay? Eventually you sit on your foot, and the foot you're sitting on is a Dandasana foot. But I just have this bottom foot in Swastikasana, so the sole of my foot is turning up toward the ceiling. Then you just take your Marichyasana leg to the outside of the knee. Then lengthen up through your side ribs, make yourself tall. And the last one, last seated twist, turn and rotate yourself around. This one's actually, particularly if you're doing the full one, is I find the most difficult.
No, you're wrong.
Then inhale, lift up, make yourself tall. Exhale, turn and rotate. And you can try to hook your arm on the outside of the knee as well.
Not facing that way.
Eventually, you actually reach and get your foot with your hand and turn and rotate. And then come back to the center. I got nice little pops in my spine from that one. Stretch your legs out to Dandasana. Oh, Artamazi Andrasana. Forgot to say what that one means. Arta means half. And Matsi Andrasana, there is some kind of fish deity. It's usually translated as half Lord of the Fishes pose, but it's got a really great story about it that Shiva was teaching Parvati, I think, yoga, and the fish lord was swimming by, and the fish is actually the entity that taught yoga to humanity. Okay. So this pose is named after the fish that taught humans yoga. Pretty cool. Lift up, make yourself tall, and then turn and rotate. This is called Artamazi Andrasana 1. There's also a nice Artamazi Andrasana 2 that's really good for the lower back also. Then lengthen up and make yourself tall, and exhale, turn and rotate. One more time, lift up, make yourself tall, and then exhale, turn and rotate. That's not my favorite twist, just because you get really compressed, but it has a really great, it is my favorite in terms of the effect of it, but it's not my favorite one to do, just so you know. All right, stretch your legs out to Dandasana, staff pose. And guess what? Downward facing dog. Adho means down, Mukha means facing, Shwana is a dog. So downward facing dog. Now, wow, I really, so after Artamazi Andrasana, I can really feel that Artamazi Andrasana released something in my rib cage.
And my rib cage now is feeling much more the extension backwards, but also a little bit more ability to bring the thoracic spine in as I stay in downward facing dog.
So keep pressing your hands down and forward. Come back into the pose, even more into the pose. Arm action looks great, Vicky. Good. Sugi, a little bit, your left elbow is overworking, so slightly unstraighten your left elbow just a little bit. There, yeah, like that. There you go. That looks good, pretty good, Pratima. Everyone I can see is looking pretty good. Bob, nice work. The thoracic spine is really going in. All right, and then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back and come all the way up. All right, so we're gonna work a little bit on handstand, okay? And then we'll do some other inversions. If you don't do handstand, you can just repeat, well, before we do handstand, we're actually gonna do something called Ekapata Anamikashwanasana. I've just moved my camera so you can see me from the side, hopefully. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is downward facing dog again. If you can't see me, please let me know. But you're gonna bring your feet together and reach one leg straight back. Okay, Eka means one, Pada is foot, and we're still in downward facing dog. So this is one-footed downward facing dog. And that reach back with the leg should give you even more extension in the spine. Right? Then you'll come down and do the other side, okay? So everyone come into regular downward facing dog first with your feet apart. Okay. Then bring your feet together. You may need a little bit more room, Gay, so you don't hit the wall. Okay. Then reach your right leg straight back behind you, like it's an extension of your spine. Turn that top thigh in a little bit more, Pratima. There you go. Try and straighten your leg. Now push your hands down and forward and reach back with your leg. Good. Now bring the leg down, and it may feel like you've gotten longer in your downward facing dog. Sometimes when you bring the leg down, what happens is that it might get a little too long. But Marcia, you can walk back a little bit more. All right. Then do your, yeah, you feel a difference? That really brought your thoracic spine in. Okay, then do your other leg. Straighten your elbows just a little bit more, Vicky, particularly the right one. All right, and then reach your other leg back. Good, better on this side, Pratima, that was good. Good, Sugi, really reach back. Good, Caroline, I can really see that happening. Bob, lift your leg up a little bit more. Same thing, Cliff, can you lift your leg up a little bit more? Now push your hands down and forward and reach back with your leg. Good, and then bring the leg down. If your dog is too long, you can wiggle in a little bit, but for a lot of people, it actually gets you a better length. All right, good, Sugi. All right, then walk forward till your feet are right underneath your hips. Place your hands on your pelvic bones. Roll your shoulder bones back and come all the way up. Okay. So if you don't do handstand, you're just going to repeat Ekapata Anamikashwanasana. Oh, you could also do the pose where you put your hands down, put one foot up on the wall, the other foot up on the wall, and this is called the L. Actually, everyone can do this one first, and then you can do Ekapata L. Okay. I guess I usually call that the L pose because your body is an L, all right? But I guess if you're thinking about it as a Sanskrit name, you would call it Ardha, which means half, Adho Mukha Vrikshasana, which is downward facing tree pose, okay? So go ahead and measure, give yourself a leg distance away from the wall, then put your hands down on the floor and bring your feet up.
Because the thing doesn't move.
Okay, if this bothers your shoulders, just repeat Ekapata Anamikashwanasana or regular downward facing dog, okay? So if this is too much on your shoulders, don't do it. But it looks, those of you I can see, it looks pretty good. Yeah, that's it, Carolyn. That's the general idea. Looks like you could maybe, Carolyn, be a little bit closer to the wall. There you go. Good, Cliff. Yeah, that's another way of working, Cliff, is just bringing your legs up high like that. That's okay. Okay, and then come down. Anyone got any questions about that? Okay, then let's do that again and try lifting one leg up, okay? And again, you can choose, right? You can choose to do Ekapata Anamikashwanasana. You can choose to just not lift one leg up. If it's too much on your wrist, Vicky, and you just want to try and kick up, you can. All right, but I'm just trying to build the progression, okay? All right, so Ekapata Anamikashwanasana. You're bringing one leg up and reach your foot all the way up toward the ceiling, and you should really feel yourself get longer. Then bring that leg back to the wall, and then do the other side. Suck your right elbow in a little bit more, Sugi, but you're getting nice extension. That looks good. Okay. Yeah, good, Marsha. If you want to go ahead and kick up, that's fine. I know it's a lot on the wrists. Very good. Okay, and then come down. All right, so the next, I don't know which position you'll be better to see me. I think all of you have done this with me. Maybe not Dan Cliff, but you look like you know what you're doing. Okay, so there's the mat. So to come up into downward facing dog, Adho Vrikshasana, which is downward facing tree pose. You put your hands about a hand distance away from the wall. You gotta keep your arms straight. You walk in until your shoulders are right underneath your wrist. Then here's the thing, you've got one leg that's called the swing leg, and it has to stay straight. This other leg is a spring leg, and it's gonna spring you off the floor. So then you spring and swing yourself up, push down with your hands and extend up through your feet. You look to the floor, and those of you who can, go ahead and try and balance and come down, okay? So it's just, it's a progression. Okay. From downward facing dog to one-legged downward facing dog, okay, to the L, so one leg with the L to trying to kick up, okay? And even if you don't get up, it's okay. And Carolyn, if it's too much on your shoulders and you just wrist, you can also just reach your hands up toward the ceiling and flex your fingers back. Okay, so then you're just doing upside down Swanasana. All right, and then give it a go. Yeah, now you have to just bend that bottom leg, Cliff, and kick up. Yeah, you just sort of fling that leg up there. Or swing, that's it. Yeah, there you go. Keep your arms straight though, Cliff. That's the main thing. There you go. Good, Sugi. You okay, Bob?
Yeah, I'm tired.
Okay. It's fine to rest. Good, Vicky. Nice, Marsha. All right, just a little bit more buttocks to the wall, Pratima. Your spring leg is not springing enough. All right, yeah. Arms straight, Cliff. All right, and then bend your knees and come down. Well, just come down. Everyone rest. There you go, Carolyn. Good job. And then you can just do a tiny little hop. That's it, Carolyn. That's how you build it up. Okay. All right, anyone got any handstand questions or concerns? All right. The next pose we're gonna do is Sharashasana, headstand, if you do headstand. And then we're gonna also try turning in Sharashasana, if your Sharashasana is stable. Okay. So I also recommend starting this at the wall. Now, if you can balance and you know you can balance in the middle of the room, you're welcome to do it in the middle of the room. I've got my blanket right next to the wall. And when I interlace my fingers, I'm going to be like 1.5 inches away from the wall. Because when I go up,
I'm going to be in Sharashasana for a little while. Push the forearms down, lift the shoulders up. Wow, this really is a nice feeling headstand after all of the twisting that we did. And then you'll be in Sharashasana, and then there's also a Sharashasana just means headstand. There's also a Parshva Dandasana, where I'm turning to the side. I may be a little bit far from the wall because I'm not touching it at all. Yeah. But it's up to you. You just want the wall there. But when you turn, you press the forearms down, lift the shoulders up, and feel how this twist really works. It's a really lovely twist in the whole back. Feels wonderful on the lower back, particularly for me, at least today. Then you'll come back to the center. Keep your shoulders well lifted as you come all the way down and rest in child's pose. Okay? Parshva Dandasana. I'll talk you through it. Also, if you're not inverting, okay, and you have a yoga chair, you could do a chair back bend, or you could do Supta Virasana on your bolster. Okay. Oh, that looks nice, Sugi. Okay. Go ahead and come into either Sharashasana or you know what else you could do if you aren't doing Sharashasana? Good one to do actually would be Prasarada, extended wide part foot pose. Yeah, that one actually feels quite fantastic. So here's your option if you're not doing Sharashasana. All right. But get into Sharashasana first. You don't want to twist right away. Just go ahead and come up and do your Sharashasana. There you go. That looks, Vicky, a little bit. Your legs are ever so slightly listing to your left. The actions all look great. Cliff, you're listing away from the bed way too much, so can you move your body more to the bedside? Yeah, if that's it, Gay, you should do that a little bit too. Okay. All right, Sugi, flex your feet and just extend a little bit more through the inner foot. Pratima, you're very straight, Pratima. Good job. Okay, so Marsha's, move your ribs back and your buttock flesh up a little bit more, Marsha. I can't tell if you're using the trifold blanket or not, Marsha, but it looks like you would benefit from putting your hands a little bit, trying the trifold blanket if you're not using it. Yeah, that's also, you could also do, upside down headstand where you just stand in Tadasana and put your hands in headstand. And in fact, all right, now we're gonna twist. You can lift up through the inner feet. You can even twist standing in upside down headstand if you're not twisting in headstand. And if your Sharashasana is not stable, okay, Bob, your legs are moving a little bit too much to the left, so be a little bit more upright in your twist. All right, Sugi, that's fine. Yeah, that's it, Carolyn. Just bring your elbows in a little bit more. Yeah, Gay and Cliff, both of you move your legs and your hips over toward the bed. Okay. Yes. That's better. Yeah, that's interesting. You both kind of shift the same way. Okay, and then come back to the center. Vicky, a little bit your legs were moving too far to the side that you were twisting away from. So come back and really get your Sharashasana straight and then really lift up and make yourself as tall as you can and then turn. Push your thighs and your feet against each other as you turn and rotate. Yeah, pretty good, Pratima, though. Your legs are moving. Keep your legs more in line with your head. Okay. All right, and then turn to the other side. Kristen, Radhika, and Ashwini, I'm sure that you're doing great, and I'm with you in headstand spirit. All right, then come back. That's better, Vicky. Yeah, exactly. That's right on the money on this side. Good. All right, and then come back to the center. Good, Marsha, that's nice. You fixed, you can move your ribs back even a slight bit more, but you've gotten much more lift in the shoulders. All right, and then keep your shoulders well lifted as you come down into Sharashasana. Sorry, out of Sharashasana, and just rest either sitting against the wall like Gay and Cliff are, or in downward facing child's pose. I was talking to my class on Friday. Obviously it's really hot. And there are a lot of poses in yoga that are really actually very cooling poses. And so it's good to review them
and integrate them into your daily practice. This is a good one, why it's good to have some bolsters. Actually, you know, if you are going to go buy bolsters, get 2 that are the same size. Okay? Also, this one is round shaped. Okay? Okay. At Castle Hill, they also have some that are square shaped. Vicki, is your bolster square shaped?
I have an oval one. It's not square.
Oh, okay. All right, but the square ones, oh, so yeah, Pratima's got a square one. Okay, I'll spotlight Pratima so you can see the square one. See, this kind of squarish. Okay, it's good for a lot of things. Okay, there, yeah, gay and then you've got also, I'm gonna unspotlight you now, Pratima. Thank you for showing. And you know, so you could get 1 of each, or you could get 2 bolsters that match. Okay. Whatever works for you. Okay, but what we're gonna do now is one of the best cooling poses, which is called Supta Virasana. No, Supta We should do Supta Virasana too, but maybe we will. Okay. I don't like that one as much, but I have it on my mat. If I were really doing it, I would put it along my mat this way. Okay, I'm just putting it to the side so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so I've got the bolster here, and then I've got my blanket that I fold, and I use it for my head. Okay. I might need a little more height than that. If you don't have a bolster yet, you can do this on the floor, or you can stack up some blankets to make them bolster-like. Okay. Then I'm sitting down on the floor in front of my bolster, and you have several options of how you can use a belt if you know how to use a belt. You can use a blanket and pull it back. This is actually my favorite way to prop, is with this little rolled blanket, but you can also put bricks on the side of your hip, and those feel really good too. And then move your body close to your feet and put your arms out. Okay, so Supta Virasana. It is cooling pose, let's say number 1 that we're doing today. It's also good as you're doing Supta Virasana. You may note it's also a really nice pose to do after all of the twisting. Because the twisting, particularly the closed twist, we didn't do a lot of it, but particularly the closed twist, they work by compressing the abdominal region. Okay? And so after you've worked compressing the abdominal region, it's nice to give the abdominal region a chance to kind of relax and feel more expansive. And so you may really notice a really nice different feeling as you're doing Supta Virasana. Yeah, nice, Marsha. And just close your eyes. Let your eyes release into the back of your head. Let your tongue release away from the roof of your mouth. Unclench your jaw. And just let your awareness draw inward. The other 2 poses that are very cooling that we're going to work on in the rest of class are shoulder stand. We'll do a progression towards shoulder stand. And then also Viparita Karani, inverted leg pose. I mean, it's good to do your inversions in general. So, you know, you want to do handstand, headstand first, but you know, as a home practice, inversions are a really nice way to, well, actually, everyone's practicing at home these days, just with Zoom. But don't neglect your inversion building up. So a handstand, headstand, you can add in Parshva Dandasana. Okay. And then you want to build up some relationship with shoulder stand. Chair shoulder stand is particularly good to do when it's hot outside because you can stay in shoulder stand much longer when you've got the chair. But this one too, and also like Supta Virasana, the supine poses are all restorative. And heat is very draining. Kind of saps the energy out of us. And so you want to structure your practice with poses that kind of restore the energy to you that the heat often takes. All right, so place your hands on the outside of your knees, pull your knees together, and then just roll off of your bolster and sit up. Okay, I'm gonna put my other mat down. Okay, so we're gonna do Tatushpadasana first. Then we're gonna do brick Setu Bandha. Then we're gonna do a brick Viparita Karani. Then shoulder stand. Then Viparita Karani. Okay. And all of this is all kind of also like what we were working on with handstand. These are all just let's say building blocks. I mean, they're poses in their own right. It's not that, but they're building blocks toward being able to do a really nice shoulder stand. Okay. So Tatushpadasana, I lay down on my mat. I have my feet in pretty close. Chatush means four, padas are feet. So the feet are your 2 feet, but also your 2 shoulders. And you're trying to get as much on the top of your shoulders as you can. So I'm gonna take this strap and put it around my ankles. I like to use the strap because I can get more opening in my shoulders that way, but the full pose, you're actually grabbing your ankles. Okay, so if that comes easily for you, you can also grab your ankles. You can also grab the sides of the sticky mat. You're gonna press your feet down, lift your buttocks up high, really get those hamstrings and buttocks going, and you're gonna rock to one side to get the shoulder under, rock to the other side to get the shoulder under, push down with your feet, down with your arms, and lift up high. And when you come down, don't change anything in the shoulders and the chest. You're just gonna lower yourself down to the floor, okay? And we're gonna do that 3 times. Okay, so 3 4-footed pose. All right, so come into Chatush. So bring your feet up close to your buttocks. Push down with your feet and lift your buttocks up high. And then rock to the right side and tuck your left shoulder under. Rock to the left side, tuck your other shoulder under. Push down with your feet and lift your buttocks up high. See if you can wiggle your shoulders underneath you a little bit more. Relax your abdomen even as you're lifting your chest. And then don't change anything in your neck and your shoulders and and then chest, and then just lower yourself down to the floor. So you keep your knees in line with your feet. There you go, good. All right, then do it 2 more times. Press down with your feet and lift your buttocks up high. Really move your hamstrings and your buttocks toward each other and see if you can get even a little bit more lift with your buttocks. Then rock to one side and the other to get your shoulders more underneath you. After a while, I don't really need to do the rocking. I can kind of just walk the shoulders even underneath it on their own without the rocking, but if that works for you, great. All right, and then lower yourself down. Feel a nice Marsha, you're really getting some nice chest. That's working well for everyone. Okay, good. And one more time, press your feet down, particularly through the inner feet, and lift your buttocks up high. Get your shoulders underneath you even more. If you want to try in this last one, those of you who aren't grabbing your ankles, you can walk your feet in a little bit more and get your ankles. Push down with your arms and lift your buttocks up high. And then release your hands and then lower your buttocks down to the floor. Okay. I taught pretty much the same thing on Friday, but I don't think none of you were there on the Friday class, so so I'm not repeating myself to y'all. Tatushpadasana is a really good, sorry, I'm just getting my phone break. I think of it as a really good physical preparation for shoulder stand, because you're really learning the work of getting the shoulders underneath you and getting the chest open. But it has a different kind of mental energetic, right? And the pose that gives you a nice sense of the mental feeling or of shoulder stand is actually brick Setubandha, right? So I have my brick. Again, you can either have the brick spine-wise, or meaning it goes along with the spine, or it can be horizontal. I know that I like the horizontal more. So I'm tucking my shoulders and lifting my buttocks up, and I have to come up onto my toes to have room to get, oh, that feels good, to get my brick in my sacrum, or on my sacrum. And then I can tuck my shoulders more, but I have more of a Jalandhara Bandha feeling here. And my brain feels more like it does in shoulder stand. So it gives you, the Chatush prepares the body. This brick Setubandha, which means supported bridge pose, it prepares the mind. Then once you've got in, see if you can walk your feet in together. There's a version of it where you stretch your legs out straight, which you can do, but really work on getting your knees together. And then we're gonna lift one leg up, the other leg up, and then you're gonna see if you can bring both legs up. And this is brick Viparita Karmani. Nice pose. Okay. You don't have to do both legs at a time. You don't have to straighten your legs, but go ahead and come into Setubandha on the brick of some sort. Yeah, nice, Marcia. Just observe how it feels in your brain. Pratima, move your legs back away from your head just a little bit. Yeah, that's it. That's good, Bob. There you go, Sugi. Good. Nice, Carolyn. Nice, Dan Cliff. Everyone looks good that I can see. And you can kind of switch back and forth between the leg positions. So, yeah, it's a similar shape in the chest and shoulders, but the energetic of it is quite different from brick Setubandha. From Tatushpadasana. All right, then everyone bend your knees. Come up and put them on the floor. And then lift your buttocks up high. And then remove the brick and lower yourself all the way down to the floor. All right. Then you're going to take your brick and I'm short, so I have my torso's long though, but for me it works as a spacer to have the brick this way. If you're a larger or taller person, you might want to put the brick this way. But it goes up against the wall. Then whatever blankets you need for shoulder stand, and if you don't know, just start off with 3. You're going to put right next to the bricks. Okay. Maybe I should do an inversion clinic. All right. Okay. Now, I've got my sticky mat here, which you're really not supposed to put your head on the sticky mat because it catches your hair and kind of disturbs the muscles of the neck a little bit. So with my top blanket, I'm going to move a little piece of it off so I have blanket for my head, all right? If you don't have all of that stuff, you can do this flat on the floor too, okay? But I'm pretty sure all of you know how to do this, but your head's on the floor, your shoulders are on the blanket, and your buttocks are on the brick. And it's what makes this a progression. If you want to watch the demo, you're welcome to. You don't have to. If you want to just go ahead and go in, you can. Okay? So when we're like this, with the head on the floor and the shoulders on the blanket and the buttocks on the brick, this is really just like brick Viparita Karani. Right? When you bend your knees and tuck your shoulders and lift your buttocks up, this is really like what we practice with Tatushpadasana, right? It's really just like an upside down Tatushpadasana. And then you can work to put your hands on your back, bring one leg up, bring the other leg up, and then you can come all the way up into shoulder stand. Okay. And the wall's just there when you need to come back and reset. Okay. And then you'll lower down and we'll come out of the pose. Okay, so shoulder stand. Using the wall just to reinforce the building block approach. But if you'd rather just be in the middle of the room, you can be in the middle of the room too. If you don't do shoulder stand and you would rather just go to legs up the wall pose, that's also completely fine. But come into whatever you're gonna do during the shoulder stand time of class. Bob, your legs are drifting to the left quite a bit. So move them over to the right. There you go. That was a nice entry, Vicki. Gay and Cliff, both, Gay, move your legs a little bit to the left. That was too much. There you go, you're good. And then Carolyn, it looks like you're going into legs of the right. Good, Sugi. Pratima, nice hamstring buttock action. Very good. Good. Yeah, I don't know, Bob, it's really drifting left. Even a little bit more to the right.
No.
I don't know if like one of your shoulders isn't quite set underneath or something, but yeah, a little bit. You too, Sugi, you're just drifting left, so move your legs over to the right a little bit. There, yep, there you go, you got it. You know, so this version of shoulder stand is more active, but you can probably still feel once you're in the pose, the cooling effect on the brain. And you'll probably really feel that after. Good, Carolyn, that's good work. Just that one leg that's off the wall, Carolyn, if you can straighten it straight up toward the ceiling. But what you're doing is just fine. Okay. All right, good. Then everyone just bend your knees to the wall, feet to the wall, and then release your hands off your back and come out of the pose. So we've got 5 minutes left. You can either do legs up the wall pose, or you can go right into Shavasana, whichever one seems like is calling to you. Or you could also split the time. You could do a little bit of Viparita Karani, a little bit of Shavasana. Again, when you choose what calls you, and that's your sense of viveka or discrimination. And that's really what we're building up through our yoga practice, is learning to read and sense and experience what our body really needs. Not just the body, but our, let's say, embodied being. And we really build that up doing things like we were doing in the twisting, observing where each different twist, where we feel it in the back. And that ability to perceive cause and effect is how we build up our sense of discrimination, our viveka. And that's what destroys avidya, ignorance. And ignorance is what keeps us from seeing our true self, keeps us from abiding in that state of our own true splendor. And so we want to pierce or peel away the veil of ignorance. So that more and more and more you can come to dwell in your own experience of your true self. Most of you chose legs up the wall pose, so you can stay there. Got about 2 minutes left in class, but if you want to end with a minute or so of Shavasana, now would be the time to switch. And then go ahead and, those of you who are in legs up the wall pose, bend your knees. And push yourself away from the wall and roll over to your side. Those of you in Shavasana, bend your knees, place your hands on your rib cage and roll over to your side. And then everyone sit up. In whatever pose is comfortable to you to sit in. I'm in a very loose Swastikasana personally. And then close your eyes and fold your palms together at your heart. Observe the effect that your practice has on you. Observe it on every layer of your being, from the physical to the most deeply spiritual. In gratitude to the benefit you receive from your practice of yoga, in gratitude to the people of the opportunity to learn and study and practice yoga with, and in gratitude to the lineage of Hatha Yoga itself, as practiced by BKS Iyengar, reaching back from the sages of India and down through a line of teachers and students to you, here on the mat in Austin, Texas. Bow. Namaste. Or wherever you happen to be.